Welcome back to New Country. I'm Vern Gosdin, and this is the KMA Band. And what we're doing is some new songs from my new CBS album. And we're going to do one that, we call this a Gatlinburg song. It came from Gatlinburg. Hank Cochran, Dean Dillon, and myself wrote this. And it's called, Is It Raining at Your House Like It's Raining at Mine?
They called him the greatest voice in country music. Not because he was loud, not because he chased fame, but because when he sang, it felt like the truth hurt. Vern Gosdin didn't just perform songs, he confessed them. Every note sounded broken. Every lyric felt lived in. But here's the part most fans never saw. Behind that legendary voice was a life unraveling in silence, health battles, dark rumors, and a mystery he took to the grave. This is heartbreaking, and by the end of this video, you'll never hear his music the same way again. But to understand how it all fell apart, we have to go back to where the pain began. Vern Gosdin didn't sound like anyone else. His voice wasn't polished, it wasn't smooth, it trembled. People said it felt like he was singing from a bar stool at 2 a.m., heartbroken, eyes tired, still holding on. That's why fans leaned in. They didn't just hear his songs, they recognized themselves in them. Failed love, regret that wouldn't fade, pain you try to drown but never fully can. Ironically, success came late. While others burned out young, Vern rose slowly. Late 70s, early 80s, hit after hit built on emotional truth, not radio tricks. Nashville started whispering a dangerous comparison. Some said his voice carried the same weight as George Jones, and that kind of comparison comes with pressure most people never survive. But listen to this. That raw emotion everyone loved, it wasn't an act, it was a warning. Because the deeper his music cut, the deeper his real life was already bleeding. And just when his career reached its peak, something surfaced that Nashville still avoids talking about. And this is where the story takes a dark turn. By the late 70s, everything changed. Vern Gosdin wasn't just respected anymore. He was in demand. Record deals, charting singles, sold-out rooms full of people hanging on every word. But here's the thing. No one talks about. Success didn't save him. It exposed him. Every song went deeper. More regret, more loneliness, more late-night truths most artists hide behind metaphors. Fans called it honesty. Industry insiders saw something else. Pressure. The kind that creeps in quietly. The kind that convinces you rest is weakness. That stopping means disappearing. And Vern refused to disappear. He kept pushing. Tour after tour. Studio after studio. Living on the road. Sleeping in fragments. Friends noticed the change. He looked tired. Not just physically, spiritually. But listen to this. The harder life hit him, the more real his music became. Songs about broken love suddenly felt prophetic. Lyrics about regret sounded personal, too personal. And that's when whispers started. Not about his talent, about his life, private struggles, emotional weight he never explained, and rumors Nashville preferred to keep quiet. Then, something happened. Something so disturbing that even today, people lower their voices when they mention it. Accusations surfaced, names were spoken, and Vern's name was suddenly part of a story no one expected. This is where the admiration turned uneasy, and the silence around him grew louder than ever. Because what came next wasn't just damaging, it was unforgettable. It happened quietly. No headlines at first, no flashing cameras, just whispers. Then, suddenly, accusations surfaced. A shocking claim emerged during a courtroom testimony in the early 80s. Two men, already arrested for a violent attack on music producer Gary S. Paxton, dropped a name no one expected to hear. Vern Gosdin. The room froze. According to sworn testimony, Vern had hired them. Not for a fight, not for intimidation, but for something far worse. This is shocking. Nashville didn't know what to do with it. Fans were confused. Industry insiders went silent, and the story spread like smoke. Impossible to grab, impossible to ignore. But listen to this. No arrest followed. No charges were filed. No court ever ruled him guilty. Legally, nothing stuck. Yet, the damage was done. Because here's what made it terrifying. Vern never denied it, never explained, never defended himself. Interviewers asked. He refused to answer. Questions followed him everywhere, and he walked past them in silence. Some believed the claims were lies. Others wondered why an innocent man wouldn't fight back. The industry did what it does best. It looked away. Radio still played his songs. albums still sold. But the mood had changed. There was admiration. And then there was discomfort. Because from that moment on, every sad lyric sounded different. Every line about guilt felt heavier. And while the world debated what was true, Vern carried the weight alone. But that wasn't all. Because while the rumors followed him, his body was already starting to betray him. And what came next would slowly destroy the voice everyone loved. While the rumors followed him everywhere, another battle was already underway. This one was silent, relentless, and impossible to hide. Vern Gosdin suffered his first major stroke in the 1990s. Not on stage, not in the spotlight, but behind closed doors. At first, he tried to brush it off. Downplay it, keep moving. But listen to this. The damage didn't disappear. It waited. His body slowed down. His balance weakened. Simple movements became calculated risks, and yet he refused to quit. He still showed up. Still sang. Still recorded when doctors warned him not to. This is heartbreaking, because the voice was still there, but the strength behind it was fading. Friends noticed long pauses between words, hands that trembled, eyes that carried exhaustion no sleep could fix, and it got worse. More health scares followed, more limitations, each one stealing a little more freedom. But here's the part that hurts most. The pain didn't silence him, it sharpened him. His later songs sounded heavier, slower, almost like goodbye letters set to music. Fans heard wisdom. Industry insiders heard decline. And Vern, he kept pushing. Because stopping would mean admitting that the voice, his identity, was slipping away. But the truth was unavoidable. His body was breaking down, and no amount of passion could stop it. And then, the final blow came. One that would silence the voice forever. By the late 1990s, the decline was impossible to ignore. Vern Gosdin wasn't touring like before. He wasn't moving like before. And he definitely wasn't living like before. Another stroke hit. Then another health scare. Each one leaving damage that couldn't be undone. Doctors warned him. Slow down, rest, step away. But listen to this. Music was the only thing keeping him upright, so he adapted. Shorter sessions, less travel, recording only when his body allowed it. This is painful, because even then, his voice still carried truth, still carried heartbreak. Fans noticed something different. The songs sounded like farewells, like a man looking back instead of forward. Lyrics about regret felt final, lines about loneliness felt permanent. And behind the scenes, life was shrinking. Public appearances became rare, silence replaced applause, and the industry slowly shifted its attention elsewhere. But here's the cruel part. The rumors never left. They followed him into these quiet years, unanswered, unresolved. He never cleared his name, never explained, never defended himself. Some say he was tired of fighting. Others believe he chose silence to protect the music. Either way, time was running out. And then it happened. One last stroke, far more severe than the others. This time, there would be no recovery. And what came next left fans, friends, and Nashville completely shattered. In April 2009, it was over. Vern Gosdin suffered a final, devastating stroke. This one didn't leave room for hope. No slow recovery, no comeback. The man known for pouring pain into melodies was suddenly fighting just to survive, but his body had reached its limit. On April 28th in Nashville, the city that made him and broke him, Vern Gosdin passed away at 74. And the reaction was immediate. Fans were stunned. Musicians were shaken. Nashville felt quieter. This hit hard. Tributes poured in, but something felt unfinished. People praised the voice, the songs, the legacy. Yet, no one talked about the questions, the accusations he never answered, the silence he chose, the weight he carried alone. Some say his music explains everything, that his pain was always in the lyrics, that he said more singing than he ever could speaking. Others aren't so sure. Because when a man spends his life exposing emotions, but refuses to explain the darkest chapter, it leaves a scar curiosity can't heal. Today, his songs still play, still hurt, still feel uncomfortably honest, but now they sound different, like messages from someone who knew the end was coming long before anyone else did. And that's what makes this so haunting. The voice lives on. The truth may never follow, Vern Gosdin spent his life telling the truth through music, but kept the most painful chapter to himself. That's what makes this story so hard to forget. A man celebrated for emotional honesty, yet surrounded by silence when it mattered most. The rumors never faded. The health battles never truly stopped. And the voice that carried so much pain was eventually taken by it. This is heartbreaking. But maybe that's why his songs still cut so deep. They weren't performances, they were warnings, confessions, goodbyes disguised as melodies. Today, when his music plays, it doesn't just sound sad, it sounds personal. So here's the question that still lingers. Did Vern say everything he needed to, or did he leave the truth unfinished? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think his silence protected his legacy or damaged it forever? And if stories like this matter to you, subscribe now, because some voices never fade, they just wait to be heard again.